All right, PFT Live Tuesday edition. We try to do a draft most days. Since we have a guy here who knows a thing or two about playing defensive back, we're going to do the best secondaries entering the 2024 season out of any of the 32 teams. We'll pick three each. And Devin, I'd give you the first pick anyway, because I always give the co-host the first pick. But forget I said that. Because I like you so much, I'm giving you the first pick.
Well, I appreciate that. I knew it was from that. It was our love that we have for each other. But I'm going, this is easy. I'm going to the land. I'm going to Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns, I thought they finished the season that way. They brought back the same guys they have. I love them. I love their three corners. Hopefully Denzel Ward is healthy. And I love their three safeties with Deplet, with Juan Thornhill, and also with either Ronnie Hickman or Rodney McLeod as that third safety. So I think they have the full gamut at the secondary.
You know, I was looking at them too as I was putting this together ahead of the show. The thing that gives me concern is Denzel Ward, concussion number 5. I know he said he's going to keep playing. At some point, and we haven't seen this happen, the NFL became ultra sensitive to concussions in 2009 with the return to play checklists and whatnot. At some point, you're not going to get cleared to return. At some point, you're not going to find a doctor who says you're good to go. So that's my concern about the Browns with Denzel Ward. I'll start with the New York Jets. I mean, Sauce Gardner, best defensive player in the division, one of the best defensive players in football. They had Chuck Clark join the team last year at safety. They didn't really get to use him last year. He's healthy and ready to go. DJ Reed, Michael Carter, Tony Adams in that secondary. But really, it could be Sauce Gardner and me and two of my clones, and we'd still be a pretty good secondary.
Yeah, that was my number 2. I had Cleveland and the Jets as my number 2, so I understood that. I think Chuck Clark is going to be the difference to try to take them over the top. And Tony Adams in another year in the NFL. He jumped on the scene last year. With my next pick, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. I went on Chris Sims' podcast back before the draft, and I told him Wiggins was the number 1 corner, and he has not disappointed yet. And they're going to have to try to find a way to get him on the field because of the way all the other corners have been playing. But this all comes down to with Baltimore, Kyle Hamilton, what he can do on the field, the versatility. He can play in the slot. He can play deep. He can blitz. He can do everything. Oh, yeah, and they have a great center fielder in Marcus Williams, one of the best free safeties in the league right now, behind a couple other guys like Jesse Bates and those guys. But I think the Ravens have one of the most complete secondaries in the NFL as well.
I'm going to talk about a team that we don't mention very much. Maybe it's because they're on the other side of the country and we don't know what they're going to be this year. But the Seattle Seahawks, with Mike Macdonald coaching the team with his defensive background. But last year, Devin Witherspoon, I mean, there were moments where I thought he may be the defensive rookie of the year. He had that Monday night performance against the Giants where it was shades of Rondé Barber. He can do it all. Tariq Woolen kind of fell off year 2, but he's still there. Julian Love was great last year, had that big interception against the Eagles to seal the game. So I think their secondary, it's not quite Legion of Boom 2.0 yet, but I think their secondary is underrated. And I think because they had the Legion of Boom, it's easy to underrate the Seahawks secondary because it's like, oh, it's not Cam Chancellor, it's not Richard Sherman, it's not Earl Thomas. I don't care. They still could be pretty good.
And I got higher on them watching Tariq Woolen against Calvin Ridley in joint practices. The way Calvin Ridley's one of the better route runners in the NFL. Tariq Woolen's a tall guy. Usually that's a struggle. He covered up Calvin Ridley on a couple of reps. So I like that pick. My third team, I'm going with the Bears. It's all about Caleb Williams right now. Everyone's talking about Caleb Williams. Jalen Johnson is a stud. He's gone out there. You saw him in a joint practice against Cincinnati. I know there was no Jamar Chase. Couple reps against T. Higgins making plays. You know how much receivers love themselves? You get one of the best route runners come to your team, and we're all watching Hard Knocks, and we're Keenan Allen saying, yeah, man, I haven't caught a pass on this guy yet. Like, that's how well he's playing. I think adding Kevin Byard, Brisker, they just have guys all over the field making big plays. Gordon, I love. We saw his aggression a little bit in the preseason. So the Bears sum out my top 3 picks in the secondary.
That's good. That's a good pick. And yeah, Jalen Johnson extra motivated this year too because he didn't make it to the NFL's top 100 player list as voted on by the players, which is good. That's the one thing that list is good for. It gives plenty of guys motivation going into the next season. I'm torn on this one. I thought about the Chiefs, but L'Jarius Sneed's gone. I know they still have Trent McDuffie, but L'Jarius Sneed's gone, so that kind of takes a little bit out. We don't know what they're going to be. I'll go 49ers under the assumption that Hufanga is going to be back and good to go. I know that's still kind of up in the air, but between Charvarius Ward, they've got Lenoir, and Hufanga, and they still were able to function without him last year. So it's just like this is indicative of the entire roster, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think they go out and find guys who have the same mindset that John Lynch had. The roll out of bed, run through a wall, and kick your ass. And they bring that every single game, every single drive, every single rep. And they'll be, regardless of how it all fits together, who's healthy or not, they'll do enough to complement the rest of the team and be in a great position at the end of the year.
I agree with you. Hufanga is a difference maker for them. It's not just his solid play. He's a game changer. He makes plays. So I think he takes them to the next level if he's healthy. And some other teams that I thought could have been mentioned for me was Miami and New England. I think Miami, adding Jordan Poyer, I think was a great pickup with Javon Holland and obviously Jalen Ramsey and what he can do. And I think New England, I love Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar, two big play, big hitters. So they were another group that I thought could be out there with obviously Gonzalez and Jonathan Jones at the corner spot.
They need that defense to perform this year. They need that defense to perform.
I don't know if it's going to matter anyway.
Can they even play quarterback? We can go old school and go both ways.
Okay, you have a chance to win $1 million in the NBC Sweepstakes on Yahoo Fantasy. Just download the redesigned Yahoo Fantasy app or go to NBCSports.com/FantasyMillion for additional details. What are you waiting for?
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.